The text message wasn't even meant for me. Can't wait to see you tonight. Room 412. Same hotel. Wear that thing I bought you? I stared at my wife Emily's phone screen, the notification glowing in the darkness of our bedroom at 2:47 a.m. She'd left it charging on the nightstand while she showered, and the buzz had woken me from a restless sleep. The sender's name made my blood run cold. Trevor Keller. My business partner of 8 years. The man who stood beside me at our wedding. The guy I'd trusted with half my construction company and every detail of my life. My hands didn't shake. That's what I remember most clearly. No trembling, no immediate rage, just an eerie calm settling over me like frost. I took a photo of the message with my own phone, then set hers back exactly where it had been, charging cable at the same angle. The shower was still running. I could hear Emily humming something, probably that pop song she'd been obsessed with lately. How long had she been humming while planning her next encounter with Trevor? How many showers had she taken before meeting him, scrubbing herself clean for another man while I worked 70-hour weeks to build our future? We'd been married for 6 years, together for 9. We had a 4-year-old daughter, Madison, sleeping peacefully down the hall in her room, decorated with those expensive princess decals Emily insisted we needed. I'd installed every single one myself, staying up until midnight on a work night because my little girl deserved a magical room. The water shut off. I closed my eyes and regulated my breathing, forcing my body to relax into the mattress. The bathroom door opened, releasing a cloud of lavender-scented steam. Emily's footsteps padded across the carpet. The bed dipped as she climbed in beside me. "Still awake?" she whispered, her hand touching my shoulder. I didn't respond, keeping my breathing steady and deep. After a moment, she withdrew her hand, checked her phone. I could see the screen's glow through my eyelids, and settled into her pillow. "Love you," she murmured into the darkness. I waited until her breathing evened out before opening my eyes again. The next morning, I made pancakes. Mickey Mouse shaped, just how Madison liked them. Emily came down at 7:30, already dressed in her yoga pants and that expensive athletic top I'd bought her for Christmas. "You're up early," she said, kissing my cheek. Her lips felt like ice against my skin. Couldn't sleep. Figured I'd make breakfast for my girls. I flipped a pancake, watching the batter bubble. "You teaching this morning?" Emily worked as a yoga instructor at a boutique studio downtown. At least, that's where she said she spent her mornings 3 days a week. "Yeah, 9 o'clock class. Might grab coffee with Jessica after." She poured herself some orange juice, scrolling through her phone with her free hand. Jessica. Right. Her friend who'd moved to Portland 6 months ago. I'd helped load the moving truck myself. "Sounds good. Trevor and I have that meeting with the Riverside Development investors at 10. Big day." I watched her face carefully. Not even a flicker. She just smiled. That same warm smile that had made me fall in love with her at a college party 11 years ago. "Hope it goes well, babe. You've worked so hard on that project." Madison bounced into the kitchen, her blonde curls wild from sleep. "Daddy, Mickey Mouse pancakes." I scooped her up, breathing in that little kid smell of strawberry shampoo and innocence. Only the best for my princess. Emily watched us with a soft expression, and for just a second I wanted to believe I'd imagined that text message, that there was some explanation, some misunderstanding. Then her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, and something shifted in her eyes. A flash of excitement, quickly suppressed. "I should get going. Traffic's going to be terrible." She kissed Madison's head, then mine again. "See you tonight. Maybe we can do date night this weekend? We haven't had alone time in forever." "Sure," I said. "That would be nice." I watched her grab her yoga mat and designer water bottle, another gift from me, and head out to her Mercedes SUV. Also from me. Everything she had, Everything she wore, everything she enjoyed. I'd provided it all while building my company from nothing. Madison tugged on my shirt. "Daddy, syrup, please." "Coming right up, sweetheart." As I drizzled syrup over her pancakes, my phone buzzed. A text from Trevor. "Running late. Can we push the meeting to 10:30? I typed back, "No problem. See you then." There was no meeting with Riverside investors. I'd made it up to see how Emily would react, and she'd shown nothing, which meant she was either innocent or she'd become a very good liar. I needed to know which. By the time I dropped Madison at preschool and headed to my office, I'd already made 3 decisions. First, I wasn't confronting anyone until I had irrefutable evidence. Second, I was calling my attorney, not for divorce advice yet, but for asset protection guidance. Third, I was going to that hotel tonight. Room 412, same hotel. I pulled up my credit card statements on my phone at a red light, scrolling back through the past 6 months. There, charges at the Grandview Hotel. 4 different occasions. I'd noticed them before, but hadn't thought much of it. Emily had said she was treating Jessica to spa days before her move, using my card because hers was maxed out from some online shopping. I'd believed her, given her more credit limit, told her to enjoy herself. The light turned green, and I pressed the accelerator. That strange calm still wrapped around me like armor. The law office smelled like leather and old books. I sat across from Daniel Price, who'd handled the legal work when Trevor and I formed the company 8 years ago. Now I needed him for something else entirely. "Let me make sure I understand correctly." Daniel set down his pen, his gray eyes steady on mine. "You want to restructure the business ownership before you file for divorce." "That's right." "And your wife has no idea you're here?" "None." He leaned back in his chair. The clock on his wall read 11:15 a.m. Emily thought I was meeting with a concrete supplier in Riverside. I'd left the house at 9:30, kissed her cheek, told her I'd be back by 3. "Walk me through the business structure again," Daniel said. I'd been over this in my head 100 times since yesterday. Trevor and I each own 50%, equal partners. The operating agreement states that if either partner engages in behavior detrimental to the company, the other partner can buy them out at a reduced valuation. What constitutes detrimental behavior? Theft, fraud, criminal activity, or actions that create liability for the company. I pulled out my phone, showed him the photograph of Trevor's text message. "Sleeping with your business partner's wife while conducting the affair on company time, using company resources, that creates one hell of a liability." Daniel studied the image. His expression didn't change. "When did you discover this?" 2 nights ago. "Have you confronted either of them?" "No." "Good." He made a note on his legal pad. "Don't. Not yet. I need you to document everything first. Every hotel charge, every suspicious absence, every text message you can access. Build an airtight case before you make a move." I'd already started. Last night, after Emily fell asleep, I'd gone through our credit card statements for the past year. The Grandview Hotel charges went back further than 6 months. I'd found them as far back as 10 months ago. Always the same amount. Always on Tuesdays, which was when Emily supposedly had lunch with Jessica. Jessica, who'd moved to Portland 6 months ago. I'd called Jessica this morning from my truck before coming here. Told her I was planning a surprise for Emily's birthday, wanted to coordinate. She'd been happy to help, chatty, mentioned how much she missed their Tuesday lunches. "We used to do that every week," Jessica had said, "before I moved. Emily must be so bored on Tuesdays now without me." I'd thanked her, hung up, and sat in the parking lot of a grocery store for 10 minutes, staring at nothing. "What about the divorce itself?" I asked Daniel now. "California is a no-fault state. The affair doesn't matter for the divorce proceedings themselves." He held up a hand before I could respond. "But it matters for everything else. If we can prove she's been using marital assets to conduct an affair, that's dissipation of marital assets. We can argue she should receive less in the division of property. She works 3 days a week teaching yoga. I built the company from nothing. Everything we have I earned. Doesn't matter. California is a community property state. She's entitled to half of everything acquired during the marriage. Daniel's expression softened slightly. Unless we can prove dissipation, or unless she agrees to a different arrangement. She won't agree to anything less than half. Then we make sure she has a reason to agree. He tapped his pen against the legal pad. The business buyout of your partner, that happens first, before you file for divorce. Once Trevor's out, the company's value changes significantly. Your wife would be entitled to half of your 50% stake in a company worth X. But if you own 100% of a company worth less because you've bought out a disgraced partner at a reduced rate, the math changes in your favor. I'd thought of this already. Worked through the numbers while lying next to Emily last night, listening to her breathe. How reduced can the buyout be? Depends on the damages. If we can prove his actions harmed the company's reputation, created legal liability, cost you business relationships, we can justify a significant reduction, 30, 40 cents on the dollar. He stood beside me at my wedding. Daniel looked at me for a long moment. I know. The clock ticked. Outside his window, I could see the parking lot, the street beyond. Normal people doing normal things. Going to lunch, running errands, living lives that hadn't exploded 2 nights ago. There's something else, I said. My daughter, Madison. She's 4. Custody. I want full custody. Daniel set down his pen. That's going to be difficult. California courts favor shared custody unless there's evidence of unfitness. Is your wife an unfit mother? I thought about Emily braiding Madison's hair, reading her bedtime stories, singing with her in the car. No. Does she have substance abuse issues, mental health problems, history of neglect or abuse? No. Then you're looking at shared custody, 50-50 most likely. The thought of Madison spending half her time in whatever apartment Emily rented, maybe with Trevor visiting, maybe becoming a fixture in my daughter's life. There has to be another way. There isn't. Not unless your wife agrees to a different arrangement. Daniel leaned forward. But here's what you need to understand. Everything is negotiable. Custody, property division, spousal support, it's all on the table. And people agree to things they wouldn't normally agree to when they're motivated. Motivated how? By wanting to avoid public exposure, by wanting to protect their reputation, by wanting to end things quickly and quietly. He met my eyes. By feeling guilty. I thought about Emily's face yesterday morning, showing no reaction when I mentioned Trevor. The way she'd kissed my cheek, suggested date night, acted like everything was normal. She doesn't feel guilty, I said. She will. Once she knows you know, once she understands what she stands to lose. Daniel picked up his pen again. But first, we need evidence, lots of it. Photographs, documentation, witnesses if possible. We need to make this so airtight that when you're ready to move, she has no choice but to accept your terms. How long will that take? Depends on how careful they've been. A few weeks, maybe a month. Can you wait that long? I'd waited 2 days already. Smiled at Emily, made breakfast for Madison, gone to work and looked Trevor in the eye while discussing the Riverside project. That strange calm still wrapped around me, making everything feel distant and manageable. I can wait. Good. Daniel made more notes. I'll draft a letter to your business partner, invoking the buyout clause, but I won't send it until you give me the word. In the meantime, document everything, every charge, every absence, every inconsistency. Get me phone records if you can. Bank statements, credit card receipts. The more evidence we have, the stronger our position. I stood. Daniel stood with me, extended his hand. I shook it. "One more thing," he said. "Don't do anything stupid. Don't confront them. Don't make threats. Don't do anything that could be used against you later. Stay calm, stay smart, and let me handle the legal strategy." "I understand. Do you?" He studied my face. "Because in 30 years of practicing law, I've seen a lot of men in your position. And the ones who win are the ones who keep their heads. The ones who lose are the ones who let emotion drive their decisions." "I'm not emotional," I said. "I can see that. That's what worries me." Daniel walked me to the door. "Calm is good, but make sure it's real calm, not the kind that's holding back something worse." I drove back toward home, taking the long way. Stopped at Madison's preschool at 12:30, watched through the window as she played with blocks in the corner. Her blonde curls caught the sunlight. She was laughing at something another kid said, her whole face bright with joy. She had no idea her world was about to change. My phone buzzed. A text from Emily. "Picking up groceries. Need anything?" I typed back, "No, I'm good. See you at home." 3 dots. Appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then, "Love you," with a heart emoji. I put the phone in my pocket and watched my daughter play for 5 more minutes before driving away. The notification appeared while I was reviewing contractor bids at my desk. Emily had logged into Netflix on her laptop. Our family account, the one we all shared. Madison watched her cartoons on the living room TV. Emily usually browsed on her laptop in the evenings, and I occasionally caught up on documentaries when insomnia hit. I glanced at my phone. The recommendation algorithm had updated. Top picks for you, romantic getaways. Below it, a curated list. The Belmont Hotel in San Diego. Catalina Island Resorts. Beachfront restaurants in Santa Barbara. Wine country bed and breakfasts. I hadn't searched for any of these. My finger hovered over the screen. I opened the account settings, checked the viewing activity. Emily's profile showed the usual: cooking shows, yoga documentaries, that British baking competition she loved. But the search history told a different story. Romantic hotels, San Diego. Best restaurants, Santa Barbara, waterfront. Weekend getaways, Southern California couples. Catalina Island ferry schedule. All from yesterday, all while I'd been at the Riverside site meeting. I took screenshots, added them to the folder on my encrypted cloud drive. The evidence file had grown substantial over the past week. 37 photos, bank statements, hotel receipts, text message captures. My office door was closed. Through the window, I could see Trevor across the hallway, on the phone, laughing at something. He'd clapped me on the shoulder this morning, asked if I wanted to grab lunch later. "Can't today," I'd said. "Meeting with the accountant." Not a lie. Daniel had connected me with a forensic accountant named Robert Shaw. We had an appointment at 1. I looked back at the Netflix recommendations. San Diego. 3 hours south. Far enough from home to feel safe. Close enough for a weekend trip. The search timestamps were specific. Yesterday, 2:17 p.m., 2:23 p.m., 2:31 p.m., 2:45 p.m. Madison's preschool let out at 3. Emily taught yoga until 1 on Thursdays. She'd been planning, researching, using our shared account without thinking about the algorithm, about how recommendations worked, about digital footprints. Sloppy. I closed the app and returned to the contractor bids, but the numbers blurred. Robert Shaw's office occupied the 3rd floor of a building in downtown Riverside. He was younger than I'd expected, maybe 40, wire-rimmed glasses, the kind of precise handwriting that covered the legal pad in front of him. "Daniel sent over the preliminary documentation," he said, gesturing to a manila folder. "I've reviewed the credit card statements, the hotel charges, the timeline you've constructed." "And?" Your wife has spent approximately $43,000 over the past 13 months on expenses related to this affair. He consulted his notes. Hotel rooms, restaurants, a weekend trip to Palm Springs in March, various retail purchases, lingerie, clothing, perfume, all charged to cards in your name. The number hit harder than I'd expected. 43,000. In California, Robert continued, this constitutes dissipation of marital assets. When one spouse uses community property funds for an extramarital affair, the court can reimburse the innocent spouse from the guilty party's share of the settlement. How does that work practically? Let's say your total marital estate is worth $2 million. Normally, she'd receive $1 million in the divorce. But with proven dissipation of $43,000, that amount gets deducted from her half and returned to yours. She'd receive $957,000. You'd receive $1,043,000. I did the math. Not enough. Not nearly enough. What if there's more I haven't found yet? Robert's expression didn't change. I can conduct a full forensic audit. Bank accounts, credit cards, cash withdrawals, Venmo and PayPal transactions, everything. If there's more spending, I'll find it. Do it, he made a note. I'll need authorization to access all financial records. Daniel can draw up the paperwork. This will take approximately 3 weeks for a complete analysis. 3 weeks. Daniel had told me to wait a month anyway before making any moves. One more thing, I said. I pulled out my phone, showed him the Netflix screenshots. She's searching for romantic hotels in San Diego, using our shared account. Robert leaned forward, studied the images. When did you discover this? This morning. And you think they're planning a trip? I think she's planning something. He nodded slowly. Keep monitoring. If they do take a trip, if there are hotel charges, rental cars, restaurant bills, that's all additional evidence. Additional dissipation. I want to know where they go. I can recommend a private investigator if you want surveillance. No. The word came out harder than I'd intended. I'll handle it. Robert studied me for a moment. Mr. I'll handle it, I repeated. That evening, Emily made salmon with roasted vegetables. Madison sat in her booster seat, pushing broccoli around her plate. Just 3 bites, Emily coaxed. 3 bites, and you can have strawberries. Madison considered this, then speared a tiny floret. Emily's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, smiled slightly, then turned it face down. How was your day? She asked me. Long. Lot of paperwork. You work too hard. She reached across the table, squeezed my hand. Her wedding ring caught the light. We should take a weekend sometime, just the 2 of us. My mom could watch Madison. There it was. Yeah? I kept my voice neutral. Where were you thinking? I don't know. Somewhere relaxing. Maybe the beach? We haven't been to San Diego in forever. Madison looked up. Can I come to the beach? Not this time, sweetie, Emily said. Mommy and Daddy need grown-up time. I met Emily's eyes across the table. She looked hopeful, almost excited. San Diego sounds good, I said. When? Maybe in a few weeks? I'd have to check the yoga studio schedule, make sure someone can cover my classes. Sure, let me know what dates work. Her smile widened. She squeezed my hand again. I love you. Love you too. The lie tasted like ash. After Madison was asleep, I sat in my home office with the door locked. The Netflix account was still open on my laptop. I created a new profile, named it Guest, adjusted the settings so it wouldn't affect the main recommendations. Then I switched to Emily's profile and scrolled through her continue watching list. Nothing unusual. Cooking shows, home renovation programs, a documentary about meditation. But the search history had grown. San Diego hotel deals, romantic dinner reservations, San Diego. Catalina day trip from San Diego. Best time to visit San Diego, all from this evening. All while I'd been giving Madison her bath. I took more screenshots. My phone buzzed. A text from Trevor. You around tomorrow? Want to go over the Moreno Valley numbers? I stared at the message. He had no idea. Neither of them did. They were planning a romantic getaway to San Diego, probably the same weekend Emily would tell me she needed girl time or a yoga retreat or whatever lie she'd construct. They'd charge it to my credit card. They'd take photos, make memories, sleep in hotel rooms I'd paid for, and they thought I'd never know. I typed back, "Sure, morning works." His response came immediately. 10 a.m. my office. See you then. I set the phone down and returned to the laptop. The San Diego searches glowed on the screen. Let them plan. Let them research and book and anticipate. I'd know every reservation, every charge, every moment. And when the time came, when Daniel gave the word, when Robert finished his audit, when all the pieces were perfectly aligned, I'd take everything. The house, the business, Madison, everything. I closed the laptop and sat in the darkness, listening to the house settle around me. Upstairs, Emily was probably in bed already, scrolling through her phone, texting him, planning their escape. My hands didn't shake. That strange calm still wrapped around me, cold and complete. I'd provided everything she had, the house she slept in, the car she drove, the credit cards she used to fund her betrayal. Soon, she'd have none of it. I stood, turned off the desk lamp, and headed upstairs. Tomorrow, I'd smile at Trevor across the conference table. I'd review the Moreno Valley numbers, discuss profit margins, act like nothing had changed. And every day the evidence file would grow larger. Every day the trap would close tighter. I was patient. I could wait. The Netflix recommendation appeared while I was checking Madison's profile to queue up her Saturday morning cartoons. Romantic getaways in San Diego. Couples massage experiences. Boutique hotels with ocean views. Except Madison was 4. She watched Bluey and Encanto on repeat. I switched to my profile, clean. Documentary recommendations, true crime series, nothing out of the ordinary. Emily's profile. I clicked. The algorithm had built an entire fantasy itinerary. Sunset dining at Juniper and Ivy. The Pendry Hotel's rooftop bar. Couple spa packages at Rancho Valencia. Wine tasting in nearby Temecula. Someone had been doing research. Detailed research. I took screenshots, added them to the folder Robert Shaw had helped me create, the one now containing $43,000 worth of documented betrayal. "Daddy, is it cartoon time?" Madison appeared in the doorway, dragging her stuffed elephant. "Almost, sweetheart." I switched back to her profile, selected Bluey, and handed her the remote. "Daddy needs to make a quick phone call." She was already absorbed in the opening theme by the time I stepped into my home office and closed the door. Daniel Price answered on the second ring. Saturday morning, but he'd told me to call any time. "Found something," I said. "I'm listening." Emily's been researching San Diego, hotels, restaurants, the works. All romantic, all couples-oriented, all showing up in her Netflix algorithm. A pause. "When?" Search history shows activity over the past week. Heavy concentration Wednesday and Thursday nights. "While you were working late." "While I was working late," I confirmed. "This fits the pattern." Shaw's forensic analysis showed 3 previous trips charged to the joint account. Santa Barbara, Carmel, Palm Springs. All weekend getaways while you were supposedly out of town on business. I'd been out of town. I'd seen the hotel receipts myself. My hotel receipts from construction site visits in Sacramento, Phoenix, Denver. What I hadn't seen were Emily's matching receipts from boutique hotels 3 hours away instead of home with Madison. Who watched Madison during those trips? Daniel asked. Her mother, Emily's mom, drove down from Fresno. Did you speak with your daughter those weekends? I thought back. FaceTime calls. Emily always had Madison ready at the right times. Background always looked like our house. But you can't confirm the location. No. We'll want to talk to the grandmother, carefully, without revealing why. Through the door, I could hear Madison's laughter at something Bluey's dad had done. That show was about a good father, a present father, a father who put his kids first. I'd put my family first. 70-hour weeks building a company that could provide everything they needed. Every hotel room, every spa day, every yoga retreat. I'd paid for it all, including the ones where my wife screwed my business partner. There's something else, I said. Emily suggested we take a trip to San Diego, just the two of us. A romantic weekend to reconnect. Daniel went quiet. I could hear him thinking. When? She hasn't specified yet. Just floated the idea last night over dinner. Let me guess. She'll suggest specific dates soon. Probably already has the hotel booked. That's what I'm thinking. Here's what's happening, Daniel said. She's planning a trip with Trevor, but she needs you to believe she's with you, or she needs an alibi that explains why she's away. So she plants the seed, you shoot it down because you're too busy with work, which you always are, and then she goes anyway. Solo trip to clear her head, or girls' weekend, or yoga retreat. The pattern crystallized. How many times had Emily gone on a wellness weekend while I'd been buried in project deadlines? What do? Play along, act interested, let her think you're considering it. See what dates she suggests. And then we'll know exactly when and where to catch them. Emily brought it up again Sunday night. We were loading the dishwasher after dinner, grilled chicken and roasted vegetables, one of her healthy meals that Madison had picked at while negotiating for dessert. I've been thinking about San Diego, she said, rinsing a plate. Maybe the first weekend in May? I checked your calendar and you don't have any site visits scheduled. She'd checked my calendar, my work calendar, synced to the family iPad. May's pretty busy, I said. We're breaking ground on the Riverside project. That's not until the 15th. We'd be back by then. She handed me the plate. Her fingers brushed mine. Come on, when's the last time we got away? Just us? Our anniversary trip to Napa, 2 years ago, before Trevor's texts started appearing on her phone, before the $43,000 in hotel charges and gift shop receipts. Madison. My mom already said she'd come down. I mentioned it to her yesterday. Of course she did. Already laying groundwork, building the alibi. Let me think about it, I said. She smiled, kissed my cheek. Don't think too long. The good hotels book up fast. I'd bet she already had one booked. Monday morning, I forwarded Emily's suggested dates to Daniel. His response came back within an hour. Perfect. Don't commit yet, but don't refuse either. Keep her uncertain. At lunch, I called Robert Shaw. Can you check something for me? Any hotel bookings in San Diego for the first weekend in May? Joint account, credit cards, anything linked to Emily. Give me an hour. 45 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Found it. Pendry, San Diego. May 2 to 4. Booked 3 weeks ago. Ocean View Suite. $1,847 for 2 nights. Also from the joint account? Also from the joint account. I sat in my truck in the construction site parking lot, engine off, staring at the message. She'd booked the hotel 3 weeks ago, before suggesting the trip to me, before checking my calendar, before calling her mother to arrange childcare. The trip was always happening, with or without my knowledge, with or without my permission, with Trevor. Can you get the reservation details? Already did. Attached. The PDF showed everything. Reservation confirmation. 1 king bed. Late checkout requested. Spa package add-on for 2. Dinner reservation at the hotel restaurant for Saturday night, 8 p.m. Party of 2. Party of 2. I forwarded it to Daniel. His reply, "Got it. This is good. This is very good." That night, Emily was humming again in the shower. I lay in bed, listening to the water run, watching the steam creep under the bathroom door. She was happy, planning her romantic weekend with my former best friend, spending my money, lying to my face, and humming while she did it. My phone buzzed. Trevor. Site meeting tomorrow, 9 a.m., Riverside Project. I typed back, "I'll be there." We'd been avoiding each other. For 3 weeks now, since I discovered the texts, we'd communicated primarily through email and project managers. The few times we'd crossed paths at the office, conversations had been brief, professional, distant. He probably thought I was stressed about the Riverside project. Big contract, tight timeline, lots of moving parts. He had no idea I'd been meeting with attorneys and forensic accountants. No idea I had documentation of every hotel room, every dinner, every gift shop charge. No idea the operating agreement he'd signed 8 years ago contained a clause that would let me buy him out at a fraction of market value for behavior detrimental to the company's reputation and business interests. Sleeping with your business partner's wife definitely qualified. Everything okay? Emily emerged from the bathroom in a cloud of lavender-scented steam, towel wrapped around her body. Just work stuff. Meeting with Trevor tomorrow. Something flickered across her face, too quick to identify. How's that going? You two seem off lately. Big project, lots of pressure. She nodded, moved to her dresser, pulled out pajamas. You guys have been friends forever. I'm sure you'll work it out. Friends forever. He'd been the best man at our wedding. I'd been at the hospital when his son was born. We'd built a company together from nothing, working out of a shared apartment, living on ramen and ambition. Now I was going to take it all away from him. Yeah, I said. I'm sure we will. The Riverside site was 40 minutes east, a mixed-use development that would be our biggest project to date. Retail space, office buildings, residential units, 18-month timeline, $30 million contract. Trevor was already there when I arrived, standing near the excavation zone with the site supervisor, reviewing grading plans. He looked tired. Circles under his eyes, coffee cup in hand, shoulders tight with stress. Good. Morning, I said. Morning. He handed me a set of plans. Foundation crew starts Wednesday. Wanted to confirm the specs before they pour. We spent an hour walking the site, discussing drainage, electrical runs, timeline adjustments, professional, cordial, 2 business partners managing a complex project. He never mentioned Emily. I never mentioned the Pendry Hotel reservation. Listen, he said as we wrapped up. I know things have been weird lately, between us. I just want to make sure we're good. I looked at him. Really looked at him. This man I'd trusted with everything. My business, my friendship, access to my home, my family, my wife. We're good, I said. The lie came easily. He relaxed. Actually relaxed. Good. That's good. This project's too important to have tension between us. Agreed. We shook hands. His grip was firm, familiar. 8 years of partnership in that handshake. I wondered if Emily's hand had touched his the same way. If they'd held hands walking into hotel rooms I'd paid for. See you at the office, Trevor said. See you. I watched him drive away in his truck, a truck identical to mine, purchased through the company, paid for by our shared success. Then I called Daniel. Meeting with Trevor this week, your office. I want to move forward with the buyout. You're sure? I thought about Emily humming in the shower, about the Pendry Hotel reservation, about Madison, who deserved better than parents who lied to each other. I'm sure. Thursday, 2 p.m. Bring all the documentation Shaw provided. I'll be there. I sat in my truck for a long time after that, looking at the empty lot that would soon be transformed into something valuable. Something built on solid foundation, careful planning, and honest work. Everything my marriage wasn't. My phone buzzed. Emily. Don't forget Madison has dance class at 4. Can you pick her up? I have a private yoga client. Private yoga client. Maybe true, maybe Trevor. Maybe another lie in an endless series of lies. I'll get her, I typed back. Because whatever else happened, whatever Emily had done, Madison was innocent, and I'd be there for her. Always. The notification appeared while I was reviewing blueprints for the Riverside project. Not on my phone, on my laptop. Netflix had a suggestion for me. Because you watched romantic getaways in San Diego, you might enjoy couples retreats in Napa Valley. I stared at the screen. I hadn't watched anything about San Diego. I barely used the Netflix account except to put on nature documentaries for Madison before bed. But Emily used it. On her tablet, on her phone, on the living room TV. We shared the same profile. I clicked into the viewing history. The list loaded slowly, each entry a small detonation. Top 10 romantic hotels in San Diego. Watched March 3rd, weekend. Getaway guide. San Diego's best restaurants. Watched March 5th. Couple spa experiences in Southern California. Watched March 8th March. She'd been planning this for over a month before she'd suggested the trip to me. Before she'd smiled over breakfast and said, "We should get away together, just us. My mom can watch Madison." The algorithm thought I was researching romance. It was serving me suggestions based on Emily's searches, her plans, her affair. I took a screenshot, added it to the folder. Then I kept scrolling. February. Best hotels for romantic weekends. San Francisco this time. January. Luxury getaways for 2. Focusing on Palm Springs. Going back further, the pattern emerged. She'd been researching destinations for months. Different cities, different hotels, always the same theme. But the credit card statements showed she'd only gone to one place. The Grandview Hotel, 40 minutes from our house, every Tuesday. Room 412. So what were all these other searches for? I opened a new tab and pulled up our shared Amazon account. The order history loaded. Most of it was mundane: diapers, toys for Madison, household supplies. But there, mixed in, lace lingerie set, size small, delivered February 14th. I'd never seen it. She hadn't worn it for me. Travel-size luxury toiletries set, delivered March 1st. Silk robe, champagne color, delivered March 10th. All delivered to the house while I was at work. All paid for with our joint credit card. All disappeared into her private world. I added the screenshots to the folder. Robert Shaw would want to see these. Every purchase, every search, every piece of evidence showing premeditation and planning. My phone buzzed. Trevor's name appeared. "Need you to look at the Jefferson Street numbers. Something's not adding up with the material costs." I answered on the second ring. "I'll be there in 20. "Thanks, man. I know you're swamped." "No problem." That strange calm had settled over me again. I could hear it in my voice. Steady, professional, completely normal. Like I hadn't just discovered my wife was using our shared accounts to plan romantic getaways with my business partner. The irony wasn't lost on me. They'd been so careful about the hotel meetings, always paying cash according to the statements. But Emily had gotten comfortable, sloppy. She'd forgotten that everything digital left a trail. She'd forgotten we shared everything. Trevor was at his desk when I arrived, spreadsheets open across 2 monitors. He looked up and smiled. "Hey, thanks for coming by. What's the issue?" He turned one screen toward me. "The lumber costs for Jefferson are running 15% over estimate. I've gone through the invoices 3 times and can't figure out where the discrepancy is." I pulled up a chair and studied the numbers. The work was automatic. I'd been doing this for years. My brain processed the columns while another part of me observed Trevor. The way he rubbed his temple when he concentrated. The coffee mug on his desk, same one he'd had for 5 years. The photo of his parents on the shelf behind him. No photo of a girlfriend. No personal items suggesting a relationship. Just my wife. In hotel rooms. Every Tuesday for 10 months. Here, I said, pointing to a line item. This shipment was billed twice. Different invoice numbers, same delivery date, same amount. Trevor leaned in. Son of a, you're right. Good catch. I'll call them tomorrow and get it sorted. You're a lifesaver. He leaned back in his chair. Hey, you doing okay? You seem, I don't know, tired? I met his eyes. Searched for guilt, for any sign that he knew I knew. Found nothing but casual concern. Madison's been waking up at night, I said. Growing pains or something? Emily's exhausted. The lie came easily. Everything came easily now. Kids, Trevor shook his head. My sister says her 3-year-old is the same way. Won't sleep through the night. We talked for another 10 minutes. Normal conversation, business updates, weather, plans for the weekend. He mentioned nothing about Tuesday. Nothing about hotels or San Diego or my wife. When I left, he called after me. Tell Emily I said hi. Will do. That evening, Emily was making dinner when I got home. Something with chicken and vegetables that smelled good. Madison was at the kitchen table, coloring. Daddy, she held up her picture. I made a rainbow. That's beautiful, sweetheart. I kissed the top of her head, then crossed to Emily and kissed her cheek. Smells great. Should be ready in 20 minutes. She stirred the pan. How was work? Good, busy. Had to stop by the office to help Trevor with something. I watched her face. No reaction, not even a flicker. He says hi, by the way. That's nice. She reached for the salt. Tell him I said hi back next time you see him. The performance was flawless. If I hadn't seen the evidence, hadn't spent weeks documenting every lie, I would have believed her completely. Madison, sweetie, go wash your hands for dinner, Emily said. Our daughter scrambled down from her chair and ran toward the bathroom. Emily turned to me, wooden spoon still in hand. I was thinking, she said, for the San Diego trip, we should do something special. Maybe a couple's massage at the hotel spa? I saw they have this amazing package. Sounds perfect, she smiled. Reached up and touched my face. I'm really looking forward to it. Just you and me. Me too. The words tasted like ash, but my voice stayed steady. We ate dinner as a family. Emily talked about her yoga class, how one of her students was finally mastering crow pose. Madison told us about her day at preschool, about the boy who'd shared his crackers with her at snack time. I listened and nodded and asked questions. Normal. Everything completely normal. After Madison was in bed, Emily curled up next to me on the couch. We watched some home renovation show, her head on my shoulder, her hand resting on my chest. I love you, she said during a commercial break. Love you too. She fell asleep there, warm and trusting against my side. I stayed awake, staring at the TV without seeing it, feeling the weight of her against me. My phone was in my pocket. The folder of evidence was growing larger every day. In 3 weeks, we'd be in San Diego. In 3 weeks, according to Daniel Price's plan, everything would come to light. But tonight, Emily slept peacefully, dreaming whatever dreams cheaters dream. And I sat there in the dark, holding her, waiting. The Netflix recommendation email arrived at 10:47 p.m. I felt my phone buzz and carefully extracted it without waking Emily. Based on your recent activity, top romantic restaurants in San Diego. Below that, a list of suggestions. The algorithm was still trying to help, still assuming these searches meant romance, meant love, meant a couple trying to reconnect. It didn't know it was documenting a betrayal. I took a screenshot and added it to the folder. Then I closed my eyes and waited for morning. The email notification appeared on my laptop 3 days later while I was reviewing contractor bids. Netflix account. Because you watched Romantic Getaways Coastal Edition, we recommend. I hadn't watched that. Madison certainly hadn't. Emily's profile picture, the photo from our anniversary dinner 2 years ago, smiled at me from the corner of the screen. I opened the full viewing history. Romantic Getaways, Coastal Edition. Watched March 14th, 11:47 p.m. Best Weekend Escapes, San Diego. Watched March 14th, 12:33 a.m. Luxury Hotels, A Traveler's Guide. Watched March 15th, 10:22 a.m. The dates lined up. March 14th was the Tuesday after Trevor's text. She'd been researching their trip while I slept beside her. Now the algorithm thought Emily wanted recommendations for romantic destinations. The home screen showed hotel reviews, travel vlogs, cooking shows featuring intimate bistros, all tailored to someone planning getaways. The recommendations included Hidden Gems, Portland, and Romantic Seattle, A Couple's Guide. Portland. Seattle. I opened a new browser window and logged into our credit card accounts. Robert had given me the statements, but I wanted to check something specific. There. October 17th. Grandview Hotel, Portland. $487. November 8th. Emerald Suites, Seattle. $623. December 3rd. Riverside Inn, Portland. $412. The pattern was clear. They alternated cities. Kept it varied. Smart enough not to establish a single routine that might draw attention. I pulled up the Netflix viewing history again and scrolled back further. September 28th. Weekend in Portland, Food and Wine. October 14th. Best Hotels in Portland. November 2nd. Seattle's Most Romantic Restaurants. November 5th. Luxury Stays, Seattle Edition. She'd researched each trip beforehand. Planned them carefully. The streaming service had documented everything, building a profile of her interests, never knowing it was tracking an affair. My phone buzzed. Emily. Running late, grabbed lunch with Amy after class, home by 2:30, love you. Amy, the yoga studio owner. That one might actually be true. I checked the calendar. Thursday. Emily taught the morning class, had the afternoon free. Madison was at preschool until 3. I texted back, no problem, take your time. Then I opened the shared Spotify account. The family plan let us see what everyone was listening to. Madison had her Disney playlist. I had classic rock and podcasts. Emily's recent activity showed the usual yoga studio ambient tracks and pop hits. But there was another playlist. Created March 2nd. Private but visible to account administrators. SD Weekend, San Diego Weekend. I clicked it. 23 songs. The Lumineers, Hozier, Leon Bridges. Romantic, intimate. The kind of music you'd play during a weekend getaway. She'd been building a soundtrack for their trip. I sat back, staring at the screen. The streaming services were creating a complete portrait of the affair. Every search, every playlist, every watch documentary about romantic hotels. All of it logged, time-stamped, saved. Digital breadcrumbs she didn't even know she was leaving. My office door opened. Jeremy, my project manager, stuck his head in. Got a second? The Riverside project needs your signature on the change orders. Sure. I minimized the windows and took the paperwork he offered. Jeremy lingered. You doing okay? You've been pretty quiet this week. Fine, just busy. Emily and Madison good? Great. Madison starts soccer next month. That's awesome. He shifted his weight. Listen, Trevor mentioned you guys might be restructuring some of the partnership terms. Anything I should know about? I kept my expression neutral. Just standard business planning. Nothing that affects operations. Cool, just wanted to check. He headed for the door, then paused. You know, if you ever need to talk about anything, business or personal, I'm around. Appreciate it. When he left, I pulled the windows back up. Trevor had been talking about the restructuring, probably trying to gauge whether anyone knew what was coming. He'd be worried, trying to figure out my angle. Good. Let him worry. I returned to the Netflix history and took screenshots of everything. The viewed content, the recommendations, the dates and times. Then I did the same with Spotify. My phone buzzed again. Daniel Price. Update when you have time. No rush. I called him back. Got something new, I said. Streaming service histories, Netflix, Spotify. She's been researching their trips, creating playlists, all documented. Send it to Robert. He'll add it to the financial timeline. Daniel's voice carried that calm certainty I'd come to appreciate. How are you holding up? I'm fine. That's what concerns me. You're too fine. I'm focused. There's a difference. Just remember, we're building a case, not planning a war. I know what I'm doing. I believe you. That's what worries me. He paused. The buyout paperwork is ready. Trevor can be served any time, but I still recommend waiting until closer to the San Diego trip. Maximum impact. Agreed. And the divorce filing? After the buyout, like we discussed. Good. Emily won't know what hit her? Another pause. Your calm is strategic, right? Not shock? It's strategic. Okay, keep me posted. I hung up and checked the time. 1:47 p.m. Emily would be home in 43 minutes. Madison's pickup was at 3. I had time. I opened our shared Amazon account and went to the order history. Robert had already pulled the statements, but I wanted to see the actual items. March 8th. La Perla lingerie set. $340. Delivered to our house while I was at the job site. March 11th. Tom Ford perfume. $285. Same delivery pattern. February 23rd. Agent Provocateur bodysuit. $420. I'd never seen any of these items. She was hiding them somewhere, bringing them out for Trevor. Bought with our money, charged to the card I paid off every month. The Amazon algorithm had started recommending similar products. Luxury lingerie brands, expensive perfumes. Customers who bought this also bought. I took screenshots of everything. Then I checked the browsing history on her profile. She'd looked at jewelry, specifically a Tiffany bracelet. $2,400. Viewed multiple times over the past 2 weeks. She'd added it to a wish list titled, Maybe Someday. Was she expecting Trevor to buy it? Or hoping I would, funding her affair with my generosity? The office felt too quiet. I could hear the wall clock ticking, the distant sound of construction equipment from one of our sites. My phone showed 2:15. I opened my email and drafted a message to Robert, attaching all the screenshots. Netflix history, Spotify playlists, Amazon purchases, and wish lists. Additional documentation. Timeline correlation should be straightforward. His response came back in 3 minutes. Perfect. This establishes premeditation and planning, shows systematic deception, will incorporate into the financial analysis. I saved everything to the encrypted cloud drive Daniel had set up. Organized by date, cross-referenced with credit card statements and hotel receipts. The evidence file was now 247 pages. My phone buzzed. Emily. Leaving now. Want me to grab anything? I typed back, We're good. Drive safe. Then I closed all the windows, cleared my browser history, and pulled up the contractor bids I'd been reviewing before the Netflix notification arrived. By the time I heard Emily's Mercedes in the driveway 20 minutes later, I was deep into material cost analysis for the Riverside project. She came in through the garage, humming something. I recognized it. One of the songs from her San Diego playlist. Hey, babe. She dropped her yoga bag by the door and came over to kiss my cheek. Productive day? Very. You? Great class this morning. Amy and I grabbed salads at that new place on Maple. She smelled like the Tom Ford perfume, the one she'd ordered March 11th. I'm going to shower before picking up Madison. Sounds good. She headed upstairs, still humming. I waited until I heard the water running, then pulled up the Netflix app on my phone one more time. The recommendations were still there. Portland hotels, Seattle restaurants, romantic weekend guides, all because she'd been planning her next escape with Trevor while I worked 70-hour weeks to pay for everything. I took one final screenshot, then deleted the app from my phone. 21 days until San Diego. 21 days until Trevor got served with buyout papers. 21 days until Emily's carefully planned romantic getaway became the catalyst for losing everything. The water shut off upstairs. I heard Emily singing in the bathroom, getting ready to pick up our daughter. I returned to the contractor bids and made notes in the margins. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. The hotel lobby smelled like expensive candles and fresh flowers. I stood near the concierge desk, watching the elevator banks, my phone in my pocket recording everything. Emily and Trevor emerged at 6:47 p.m., her hand tucked into his arm. She wore the La Perla lingerie under that dress. I'd recognize the way it fit anywhere. The Tom Ford perfume would be dabbed behind her ears. They didn't see me. Why would they? I was supposed to be in Sacramento on a site inspection, not in the Pendry San Diego lobby on May 2nd. The private investigator I'd hired, despite telling Robert I'd handle it myself, had done good work. Photos of them checking in separately yesterday. Photos of them meeting at the rooftop bar. Photos of them entering the Ocean View suite together, the one Emily had booked 6 weeks ago with my credit card. But I wanted to see it myself. They crossed the lobby toward the restaurant, laughing at something. Emily's face looked lighter than I'd seen it in months. Happy. Radiant. I let them get seated, then sent the text. Daniel's response came immediately. Papers are being served to Trevor's house right now. Buyout notice delivered to his attorney. You're sure about this timing? I'm sure. Divorce filing goes out Monday morning. Everything's ready. I pocketed my phone and walked out of the hotel. Trevor called at 8:34 p.m. I was back in my Sacramento hotel room. The real one. The one I'd actually booked for the site inspection that was actually happening tomorrow morning. What the hell is this? His voice shook with rage. Buyout papers? You're forcing me out? Read the clause. Behavior detrimental to the company. What behavior? What are you talking about? You know exactly what I'm talking about. Silence. Long enough that I thought he'd hung up. How long have you known? His voice came out flat. Long enough. The operating agreement is clear. You engaged in conduct that creates liability for the company. I'm exercising my right to buy you out at the reduced valuation. This is insane. We built this company together. You should have thought about that before sleeping with my wife. I hung up. He tried calling back 4 times. I declined each one. At 9:15, Emily called. Hey, babe. Her voice sounded breathless. Guilty? How's Sacramento? Productive. How's your girls' weekend? The lie we'd agreed on. Her yoga instructor friends, a relaxing trip to wine country. Good. Really good. We're just having dinner now. In the background, I could hear restaurant noise. The same restaurant where she was sitting with Trevor, not her yoga friends. That's great. Tell everyone I said hi. I will. Love you. Love you too. I hung up and opened my laptop. The divorce papers Daniel had prepared were thorough. Custody arrangement heavily in my favor. Emily would get every other weekend once the evidence of her affair came out. The house would be mine. The cars. Madison's college fund, which I'd been solely funding anyway. Emily would get her yoga instructor salary and whatever she could carry out in suitcases. My phone buzzed. Trevor again. This time, a text. We need to talk, face to face, This is crazy. I didn't respond. Another text. I'll fight this. You can't just force me out. I replied, read the contract, then call your lawyer. Mine says it's airtight. Sunday afternoon, I picked Madison up from Emily's mother's house in Fresno. Did you have fun with Grandma? I asked as she buckled into her car seat. We made cookies and watched movies. And Grandma said Mommy needed special time because grown-ups need breaks. That's right, sweetheart. Where did Mommy go? Just a little trip with friends. She'll be home tomorrow. Madison nodded, satisfied, and started singing along to her playlist. I drove us home, made dinner, gave her a bath, read 3 bedtime stories. Normal Sunday night routine. Except Emily wasn't there humming in the shower. She was 120 miles south, probably in bed with Trevor right now, in the hotel room I'd paid for, wearing lingerie I'd bought, living out her romantic fantasy on my dime. My phone buzzed at 10:23 p.m. Emily. Missing you. Can't wait to see you in Madison tomorrow. Love you so much. The performance continued, even now. I set the phone down without responding. Monday morning, the process server delivered divorce papers to Emily's yoga studio at 10:15 a.m., right after her advanced class ended. I know because Daniel called me at 10:47. It's done. She's been served. And Trevor? His attorney called this morning. They're reviewing the buyout terms, but the contract is solid. He doesn't have grounds to fight it. Good. Emily's going to call you, probably soon. Are you ready? I'm ready. The call came at 11:02 a.m. I was at the Riverside site, watching the foundation crew pour concrete. What is this? Emily's voice cracked. Divorce papers? Asset dissipation? Adultery? You should read them carefully. They're very detailed. This is insane. We can talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. I know about Trevor. I know about the hotels. I know about San Diego. I know everything. Silence. How long? She finally whispered. I've known since March. I've been documenting since then. March? Her voice rose. You've known for 2 months and said nothing? I was building a case. My attorney says it's very thorough. Your attorney? You hired? She stopped. This is crazy. We have a daughter. We have a life together. You should have thought about that before you spent $43,000 of our money on hotel rooms with my business partner. I could hear her crying now. Please, can we just talk, face to face? Talk to your attorney. Mine says any communication should go through legal channels now. I made a mistake. I know I messed up, but we can fix this. Read the papers, Emily, especially the custody arrangement. Every other weekend supervised until Madison is older. You can't take my daughter. I'm not taking her. I'm protecting her. There's a difference. I hung up. She called back immediately. I declined. 17 more calls over the next 3 hours. I declined them all. The forensic accountant's final report came in Wednesday. Robert Shaw had been thorough. Total dissipation of marital assets, $67,340. Hotel rooms, restaurants, gifts, travel expenses, all documented, all charged to joint accounts, all spent on the affair. The report included the Netflix viewing history, the Spotify playlists, the Amazon purchases, everything cross-referenced with credit card statements and Trevor's calendar. This is exceptional work, Daniel said when we met that afternoon. The judge will see clear premeditation and systematic deception. What's the timeline? Emily's attorney will try to negotiate. They'll want to avoid trial, especially with this much evidence. We should expect a settlement offer within 2 weeks. I want full custody. You'll get primary custody. Every other weekend for Emily is reasonable given the circumstances. Supervised visitation until Madison is 7, then we can revisit. And the house? Yours. The dissipation amount gets deducted from her share of the community property. Combined with your separate property claims on the business assets, she'll walk away with approximately $180,000 and her car. Emily had expected half of everything. $2 million, the house, shared custody. She was getting a tenth of that and every other weekend with her daughter. What about Trevor? The buyout closes Friday. He's accepting the terms. 40 cents on the dollar for his 50% stake. He doesn't have a choice. The contract is clear. Trevor had built the company with me. His half was worth approximately $3.2 million at market value. He was getting $128 million, and I was getting full control of the business we'd built together. Good, I said. Daniel studied me across his desk. You've won. Completely. You understand that? I understand. So why do you still look angry? I thought about that. About Emily crying on the phone, about Trevor's desperate texts, about Madison asking when Mommy would be home. I'm not angry, I said. I'm just done. The settlement came through on a Tuesday, exactly 3 weeks after the divorce filing. Emily signed everything. Full custody to me, every other weekend visitation for her, the house, the cars, Madison's college fund. She took $180,000, her yoga instructor certification, and whatever she could fit in her Mercedes. She moved into a one-bedroom apartment in the cheaper part of town. Got a second job teaching at a different studio. Started seeing a therapist. Trevor moved to Arizona. Took his buyout money and started over. We never spoke again. I kept the house, the business, my daughter. I won. 6 months later, I stood in Madison's bedroom tucking her in after her weekend with Emily. Did you have fun with Mommy? Yeah, we went to the park and got ice cream. She yawned. But I like being home better. I'm glad you're home, sweetheart. Daddy? Why doesn't Mommy live here anymore? We'd been over this before, but she was 5 now. Old enough to keep asking, young enough that the answers never quite stuck. Sometimes grown-ups can't live together anymore. But Mommy and I both love you very much. Okay. She hugged her stuffed elephant. Love you, Daddy. Love you too, Princess. I turned off her light and went downstairs to the empty house. The business was thriving. The Riverside project had finished ahead of schedule. I'd hired a new partner, someone competent and trustworthy. Revenue was up 40%. The house was paid off. Madison's college fund was fully funded. I had full custody, a successful company, and complete control over the life I'd built. I'd won everything. I sat in the living room where Emily used to curl up beside me on the couch, where we'd watch TV together, where she'd said, "I love you," while planning her next hotel visit with Trevor. The victory was complete. Total. Absolute. So why did it feel so hollow? Madison started first grade that fall. I attended every parent-teacher conference, every school event, every soccer game. Emily came to some of them, sitting on the opposite side of the field, waving awkwardly when our eyes met. We were cordial, polite. We coordinated schedules through a co-parenting app, communicated only about Madison, kept everything civil for our daughter's sake. She'd lost everything: her marriage, her home, her daily access to Madison, the comfortable life I'd provided. I'd won everything: full custody, the house, the business, complete vindication. The system had worked exactly as it was supposed to. The guilty party had been punished. The innocent party had been rewarded. Justice had been served. But late at night, after Madison was asleep, I'd sit in the quiet house and wonder about the cost of winning. I'd been right. Emily had betrayed me, lied to me, spent our money on an affair with my best friend. Everything I'd done was justified. But Madison still asked why Mommy didn't live with us. She still cried sometimes on Sunday nights when Emily dropped her off. She still drew pictures of our family, all 3 of us together, even though that family didn't exist anymore. I'd protected my daughter from her mother's choices. I'd secured her future, her stability, her home. I'd won. But in the quiet moments, I couldn't shake the feeling that we'd all lost something that could never be recovered. The truth I learned, the one nobody tells you when you're building your case and documenting evidence and planning your victory. Winning isn't the same as healing. You can get everything you're entitled to: the house, the business, the custody arrangement, the vindication, and still feel the weight of what's been destroyed. Emily made her choices. She lied, she cheated, she betrayed everything we'd built. She deserved the consequences. But consequences don't erase the past. They don't undo the damage. They don't restore what was broken. Justice is clean. It's clear. It's satisfying in its precision. But life isn't a legal contract. Marriage isn't a business arrangement. And a daughter's heart doesn't care about who was right and who was wrong. I'd won the war completely. But the battlefield was my life, and victory looked a lot like wreckage. Madison would grow up in a broken home, shuffling between parents, learning that love could turn to lawyers and contracts. She'd be fine. I'd make sure of that. But she'd also carry the weight of our failure for the rest of her life. That was the price of winning. I paid it gladly, because the alternative was accepting betrayal and teaching my daughter that loyalty meant nothing. But I paid it knowing that some victories cost more than defeat ever could. The house is quiet now. The business thrives. Madison laughs and plays and grows. And I sit in the wreckage of my perfect victory, understanding too late that being right and being whole are not the same thing. I won. God help me, I won everything.